Chapter 1891, Purple Moon Lake. Oh yeah, Sir Godbei Han. Hall Master Yuan suddenly looked at Jian Wushuang. Palace Master, Sir Godbei Han has stayed in Lineage of Star for quite some time. He knew quite a bit about Lineage of Star, especially the experts that we invited to Lineage of Star in recent years. Now that he has left Lineage of Star, if he were to spread the news, it would inevitably put Lineage of Star at a disadvantage. I know. Jian Wushuang nodded faintly. The forces and experts in Sanctuary Alliance knew that Lineage of Star were inviting solo experts to join them in recent years by offering benefits, and they knew that many solo experts had agreed. However, the forces didn't know who those solo experts were and how many there were. That information would put Lineage of Star at an advantage in the upcoming war. It would naturally be best not to announce it to the public. Don't worry about it. Sir Godbei Han doesn't stand a chance. When he opted to leave Lineage of Star, I told Jian Yi to follow him, Jian Wushuang said coldly. Jian Yi? Hall Master Yuan was stunned. Jian Yi, a hidden fighting power of Peak Emperor God in Lineage of Star. Jian Wushuang obviously had considered that long ago, so he had sent Jian Yi to take care of it. In Lineage of Star, outside the boundless universe galaxy, Sir Godbei Han in a black robe had just walked out from Universe Galaxy. In the void, Sir Godbei Han stole a glance at Universe Galaxy behind him, and there was rage in his gaze. Humph, Jian Wushuang, you are not willing to pass me the inheritance of secret skill of Star Palace now, right? Very well, I shall head to the major forces that harbor deep-seated grudges against Lineage of Star now. I'll head to Soaring Heaven King Palace, Divine King Island, Highest Heaven Emperor Mansion. With my power and the information about Lineage of Star that I know, it will be easy to join any of those forces. Plus, the few major forces will definitely take action to exterminate Lineage of Star. Wait until Lineage of Star is exterminated, then I will receive the inheritance of secret skill of Star Palace as well. Plus, joining these major forces is much steadier than joining Lineage of Star. Sir Godbei Han scoffed. From his viewpoint, Lineage of Star lost the Master of Star Palace to be in a commanding position, and all forces would definitely swarm in. Lineage of Star wouldn't be able to withstand it, and they would only be left with one outcome: extermination. Previously, he had agreed with Lineage of Star because he wanted to seize a chance to get secret skill of Star Palace. As for fighting for Lineage of Star, he would contribute, but the moment there was a danger, he would definitely run without hesitation. However, he never expected that he would argue with Jian Wushuang in Lineage of Star before the war had even started. Jian Wushuang, just you wait. I'll make you regret it. Sir Godbei Han's gaze was cold, and he didn't hesitate about Lineage of Star behind him. He immediately moved forward to the vast void. However, he had just left Universe Galaxy and plunged forward in the void for less than 15 minutes when there was an evil-looking figure that blocked his way. Sir Godbei Han's face changed, and his body immediately stopped. Who are you? Sir Godbei Han looked solemn as he fixed his eyes upon the evil-looking figure. Although he didn't give out any aura, Sir Godbei Han's gut feeling told him that the person was strong. Your death. Jian Yi didn't talk anymore, but he moved his figure ghostly and came behind Sir Godbei Han. Too fast. It was so fast that Sir Godbei Han didn't manage to react at all. So strong? Sir Godbei Han looked on in disbelief. Jian Yi took action, and his speed itself revealed how scary Jian Yi was. Such terrifying speed, there was almost no one among the experts that he knew that could be compared favorably. His power was far beyond his imagination. Such a scary expert, why would he appear here and want to kill him? He had never offended any expert like him. Jian Wushuang, it's Jian Wushuang. Sir Godbei Han stared, and he had already guessed who had sent the scary expert. How is it possible? How did Lineage of Star hide such a scary expert? Sir Godbei Han looked on in disbelief. Jian Yi's hoary hand with boundless power grabbed his throat. Sir Godbei Han roared madly from the bottom of his heart, but he couldn't struggle at all. The hoary hand grabbed his throat, and Jian Yi exerted strength in his grip. Then, Sir Godbei Han's head cracked and his vigor was instantly interrupted. He killed Sir Godbei Han directly. Jian Yi took care of Sir Godbei Han's dead body and took his Chen Kuan ring. Then, he turned to head back to Lineage of Star. Lineage of Star, in a lofty palace. Jian Wushuang didn't wait long until Jian Yi appeared in front of him. Master, Sir God Bei Han died. Jian Yi looked cold and there was passion in his eyes when he looked at Jian Wushuang. Well done. Jian Wushuang nodded his head and he was satisfied. After Jian Yi had left Green Fire World, his power had already recovered to the level of middle-stage chaotic realm. In recent years, when Jian Wushuang had fought and massacred outside, Jian Yi had never joined. He had been using an enormous amount of resources to recover his power. Then, Jian Yi's power had recovered to the peak of middle-stage chaotic realm. He was only one step away from peak chaotic realm. One should know that Jian Yi was an ancient expert. At his strongest, he was at the peak of chaotic realm. The techniques and skills that he had on hand weren't comparable to emperor gods from the second era. His fighting power then was so strong that even Jian Wushuang found it unbelievable. Merely as a conservative assumption, Jian Wushuang reckoned Jian Yi should be able to match evenly with the #1 emperor god in eternal chaotic world, underworld god. The master of Star Palace's death is verified. There must be rising winds and scudding clouds in the outside world. At such a crucial moment, there's a person that I have to see, Jian Wushuang said. The other 3 hall masters exchanged a look and nodded. They could guess who Jian Wushuang wanted to see. In Purple Moon Sanctuary, a beautifully enchanting lake. The lake water was purple. At night, the moon reflected on the lake and formed a huge purple moon. Its name, Purple Moon Lake, derived from it. In the middle of Purple Moon Lake, there was a small island. Although the island wasn't huge, everyone knew that the island possessed an absolute ruling power over Purple Moon Lake. As the purple moon hung low, the entire island looked even more captivating. At the border of the island, a red-robed elderly was waiting patiently. The red-robed elderly's aura was strong and he was a Sir God expert. However, the Sir God had been waiting on the island for 1,800 years and the master of the island had yet to see him. Chapter 1892. Greetings, Great Emperor. A child at the age of 12 walked out from the island. Don't judge the child by his looks. The aura that he gave out was unfathomable, not much weaker than the red-robed elderly. Sir God Heidan, I asked on your behalf earlier, the master is still not awake. Hence, Sir God Heidan, you have to wait for a little longer, the child replied with his young and immature voice. Don't worry. I'll just wait here, the red-robed elderly. Sir God Heidan smiled but didn't give himself airs. One should know that he had been waiting for 1,800 years. Sir God, an almighty, an extremely noble position in eternal chaotic world. He had waited for 1,800 years but the master of the island never once appeared. However, Sir God Heidan didn't dare to feel upset because he knew clearly the true identity of the master of the island. Forget about 1,800 years, even if it was 18,000 years, he had to wait patiently. Just then, swoosh! A figure plunged over from afar and landed on the island. Then, it appeared next to Sir God Heidan. Please help me inform your master that Jian Wushuang from Lineage of Star would like to see him. Jian Wushuang looked at the child and said humbly. Jian Wushuang? Sword Emperor? The child revealed a surprised look. As for Sir God Heidan, his body quivered in shock too. Sword Emperor's name was well known in eternal chaotic world. His name had long resounded in the expert's ear. The child and Sir God Heidan naturally knew. Sword Emperor, please wait for a moment. I shall go in and report immediately. The child bowed slightly at Jian Wushuang, then he turned and walked into the island. Read more chapter on vipnovel.com. Jian Wushuang wasn't in a hurry but waited there. After a while, the child walked out and stopped before Jian Wushuang. Sword Emperor, Master has awakened. He asked for you to come in, the child said. Thank you. Jian Wushuang thanked him and walked to the island immediately. Then, how about me? Sir God Heidan asked by the side. Sir God Heidan, Master didn't say that he is going to see you. So, I will have to keep you waiting for a little while longer. Who knows? Master might summon you in after he sees Sword Emperor, the child replied. I understand. Sir God Heidan smiled bitterly. He had come first and he waited for 1,800 years. However, the master of the island woke up and called Jian Wushuang first. Of course, he didn't dare to be upset about it. He knew that if Jian Wushuang hadn't come, the master of the island might still be asleep. On the island, The plants grew luxuriantly. Right in the middle of the island, there was a simple thatched cottage. The cottage looked ragged and as though it was going to collapse if there was rain or wind. Sword Emperor, the master is waiting for you in the cottage. A hunchbacked elder who stood in front of the cottage guided Jian Wushuang in. When Jian Wushuang saw the hunchbacked elder, his eyes dilated in shock. He could tell with a glance that the hunchbacked elder was an emperor god and he was an extremely strong peak emperor god. However, on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list, there wasn't any introduction about the hunchbacked elder. Not all the top experts in Eternal Chaotic are listed on Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list, Jian Wushuang muttered. Very soon, he stepped foot into the cottage. In the cottage, there was only a simple bed, a wooden desk and a wooden chair. On the wooden bed, there was an evil-looking, purple-haired young man. The evil-looking young man looked cold and he smiled faintly. His smile was so enchanting. Looking at the person before him, Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and bowed politely as he greeted. Jian Wushuang greets Great Emperor. Great Emperor. That's right. The master of the island was seated on the wooden bed. He was also the ruler of Purple Moon Sanctuary, Purple Moon Emperor. Get up. Purple Moon Emperor waved and Jian Wushuang immediately stood up. I heard long ago that there was an unprecedented top genius in Lineage of Star. I finally get to see with my own eyes. Purple Moon Emperor smiled. He looked friendly. Jian Wushuang, you came here today. It should be for Lineage of Star, right? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. The Master of Star Palace has passed away and Lineage of Star has lost its mainstay. Lineage of Star will definitely become a public enemy. All forces, including many experts, will come by. With the current Lineage of Star, I reckon it might be difficult to withstand, Purple Moon Emperor said casually. That's why I came here to ask for help from Purple Moon Emperor, Jian Wushuang said. Help? Purple Moon Emperor smiled faintly. Jian Wushuang, you thought too highly of me. Sanctuary Alliance has its rules. The battle between the forces, as long as they do not take the initiative to provoke it, we great emperors can't get involved as we wish. Lineage of Star has been in Purple Moon Sanctuary for so many years and we do share some relationships. Even when the Master of Star Palace was alive, he gave me many benefits. Theoretically, I should be protecting Lineage of Star. But it's not that I don't want to, but that I can't. Jian Wushuang was surprised. He knew that the great emperors wouldn't get involved in the fights among various forces. At most, they would protect one of the forces due to their relationships. Just like back then on Colored Glaze Sanctuary, Jian Wushuang had cornered Soaring Heaven King Palace into a miserable situation. Soaring Heaven King Palace had no choice but to ask Colored Glaze Emperor to get involved. Although Colored Glaze Emperor didn't get involved in their fights, she came out to protect Soaring Heaven King Palace. Hence, Jian Wushuang couldn't take any action against Soaring Heaven King Palace in Colored Glaze Sanctuary. However, besides Colored Glaze Sanctuary, Colored Glaze Emperor didn't care about anywhere else. That was the protection given by Colored Glaze Emperor. Lineage of Star was under the command of Purple Moon Sanctuary. Lineage of Star had been in touch with Purple Moon Emperor and they have given Purple Moon Emperor many advantages. Lineage of Star even gave Purple Moon Emperor a white blaze fruit tree. Theoretically, Purple Moon Emperor really should provide protection to Lineage of Star. Once Purple Moon Emperor provided protection, the forces and experts who had bad intentions towards Lineage of Star naturally wouldn't dare to act hastily. But, obviously, it's because of secret skill of Star Palace? Jian Wushuang asked. The secret skill of Star Palace is secondary. You are the main concern. Purple Moon Emperor glanced at Jian Wushuang. You have great potential. Among the higher-ups in Sanctuary Alliance, although there are many who are looking forward to your growth, there are also some who are not willing to see you grow. You should understand the theory behind this. Jian Wushuang's expression didn't change. He naturally understood that. The restrictions that the two camps set for one another formed a balance. At such a moment, if I were to stand out and take Lineage of Star under my wing, the balance would tremble. By then, Lineage of Star would be in greater danger, Purple Moon Emperor said. As such, Lineage of Star's danger, I can't get involved personally. However, due to past relationships. Elder Qian. Chapter 1893, Star Extermination Alliance Squeak. The cottage door was opened and the hunchback elder that Jian Wushuang had seen earlier walked in. "Master," the hunchbacked elder was polite. "This is a servant of mine. I will let him follow you back to Lineage of Star." "That's the only thing I can do," Purple Moon Emperor said. "Thank you, Great Emperor." Jian Wushuang thanked him immediately. He knew that among great emperors of the higher-ups in Sanctuary Alliance, Purple Moon Emperor stood at his side. However, Purple Moon Emperor's power was only considered ordinary and there were many restrictions. Hence, he couldn't protect Lineage of Star openly. It was great enough that he could send the hunchbacked elder to help. "Great Emperor, I have another matter that I would like your help with," Jian Wushuang said. "Tell me." Purple Moon Emperor looked at Jian Wushuang. "I'd like to ask you to send a message to Emperor Bai on my behalf," Jian Wushuang said. "Emperor Bai?" Purple Moon Emperor was surprised and he said, "Is it for inverse cultivation skill?" "Yes." Jian Wushuang nodded. Purple Moon Emperor thought for a while and agreed, "Emperor Bai's communication token, I don't have it. But I can figure out a way to entrust someone else to send a message to Emperor Bai. However, Emperor Bai is untraceable. Even if we send him messages, it is normal that he might not reply for over 1,000 or even tens of thousands of years. Hence, I can't guarantee if he would reply." "Okay." Jian Wushuang clenched his hands and he anticipated. Emperor Bai, an expert that was widely acknowledged in Sanctuary Alliance. An inverse cultivator at almighty level. To Jian Wushuang, the 7th step of inverse cultivation skill in Emperor Bai was extremely important. If he could get to the 7th step of inverse cultivation skill and breakthrough to become an almighty, all danger could be taken care of and there would be no need for all those troubles. "Go ahead." Purple Moon Emperor waved his hands. Jian Wushuang immediately left the cottage with the hunchbacked elder and walked out of the island. In the void of the island, Jian Wushuang flew side by side with the hunchbacked elder. "I wonder how do I address you?" Jian Wushuang looked at the hunchbacked elder. "I am Chen Mingzi. I am merely a servant under the master's command. Sword Emperor could call me by my name or you can call me Elder Chen," the hunchbacked elder replied. "Elder Chen, as Lineage of Star is in danger, if there were to be a war, I'd like to thank Elder Chen in advance," Jian Wushuang said. "Sword Emperor, don't worry. As Master commanded, I will definitely give my all. However, my power is limited." "I believed it'd only be a meager contribution," Chen Mingzi replied. "As long as you did your best," Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. But in actual fact, Jian Wushuang knew that Chen Mingzi was powerful. Jian Wushuang had a feeling that Chen Mingzi shouldn't be any weaker than himself. With such great fighting power, he was definitely helpful to Lineage of Star. To be able to meet Purple Moon Emperor and receive assistance from Chen Mingzi, and Purple Moon Emperor promised to get in touch with Emperor Bai on his behalf. Jian Wushuang was already extremely surprised with that. Then, he naturally returned to Lineage of Star with Chen Mingzi to prepare for war. Then, in Eternal Chaotic World, there were rising winds and scudding clouds. After the Master of Star Palace's death was verified to be true, none of the forces could hold back anymore, especially those who harbored deep-seated resentment against Lineage of Star. In the independent space that was engulfed in a huge formation, there were 5 thrones towering within. On the 5 thrones, there were people seated. They represented the 5 top forces in Eternal Chaotic World. Everyone, as it has been discussed, Star Extermination Alliance has been formed today. Star Extermination Alliance, specially to destroy Lineage of Star. The deep voices reverberated in the independent space. After a few days of discussion, Star Extermination Alliance had been established. Star Extermination Alliance was formed by 5 forces. The 5 forces were Abysmal Palace, Soaring Heaven King Palace, Divine King Island, Real Martial Arts Divine Church and Highest Heaven Emperor Mansion. They had reached a mutual goal. This is a chance that is hard to come by. No one should hide anymore, Emperor God Xianxia from Soaring Heaven King Palace said. "Don't worry. In this fight, Divine King Island will go all out." Divine King Island's #1 Divine King said coldly. "Same goes for Real Martial Arts Divine Church," the Master of Real Martial Arts Divine Church said. "We of Highest Heaven Emperor Mansion will send 13 out of 15 of our Almighties." The Master of Highest Heaven Emperor Mansion said with a cold gaze. Then, The four of them looked to the last person. That person was Palace Master Wu Luo from Abysmal Palace. In this fight, Lineage of Star must be exterminated. Palace Master Wu Luo's voice was deep. Exterminate! Exterminate! Everyone, let's get started. This time, we definitely won't give Lineage of Star any chances. Emperor God Xianxia said. Very soon, all parties in Star Extermination Alliance had departed. This time, the five top forces weren't as high profile as back when Abysmal Palace had attacked Lineage of Star. When the five top forces took action, the other forces in Eternal Chaotic World almost didn't receive any news. As they realized, the five forces had already arrived at Starland. In Starland, there were wormholes connected to the surrounding land and sanctuaries. The wormholes were gathered in three places: Cloud Island, Green Zone, and Ice Mansion. The three places were controlled by Lineage of Star. That day, swoosh! A spaceship parked in Ice Mansion. This is Ice Mansion? A few figures stepped out from the spaceship and appeared in the void above Ice Mansion. What Palace Master meant is for us to wait until we conquer all space tunnels that connect Starland to the outside world, then we wipe out the whole of Starland. Lastly, we attack the lair of Lineage of Star. This Ice Mansion is our first target. Let's begin. Immediately, a total of 5 Almighties took action personally and started a massacre. In Ice Mansion, there were merely some real gods from Lineage of Star who was in commanding position. There wasn't even one Almighty and they had no power to withstand it. In a short while, the entire Ice Mansion, all experts from Lineage of Star were killed mercilessly and Ice Mansion was conquered by Star Extermination Alliance. Almost simultaneously, a similar sight appeared in Cloud Island and Green Zone. Star Extermination Alliance's Almighties took action personally and the 3 transportation portals of Starland were conquered by Star Extermination Alliance within half a day's time. Then, the experts in Star Extermination Alliance gathered and started a mad massacre on Starland. Whichever property under Lineage of Star and possessed a lot of resources were destroyed and attacked by Star Extermination Alliance. A large number of cultivators in Lineage of Star were massacred by Star Extermination Alliance. There were countless real gods and disciples that had died at the hands of Star Extermination Alliance. In an instant, the entire Starland had flipped upside down while Eternal Chaotic World was boiling because of that. Chapter 1894. Baron. Just as the Master of Star Palace's death was verified, there was finally someone who took action against Lineage of Star. They either don't take action or when they did, it was as though they were breaking a piece of deadwood. In Lineage of Star, Jian Wushuang looked cold. He sat on a throne as Hall Master Yuan and the others stood there with a constant flow of messages flooding in. Abysmal Palace, Soaring Heaven King Palace, Divine King Island, Real Martial Arts Divine Church, Highest Heaven Emperor Mansion. The 5 major forces teamed up and formed Star Extermination Alliance. There is a large number of experts that descended on Starland. Ice Mansion, Green Zone, Cloud Island are under attack one after another. The tunnels that connect Starland to the outside world are all in the hands of Star Extermination Alliance. Serum Sect, Fate Pavilion, Azura Mansion. The 3 sects followed the lead of Lineage of Star were in bloodbath caused by Star Extermination Alliance. The 3 sects were destroyed. Besides, the force that yielded to Lineage of Star 60,000 years ago turned and fought against us. East Call City, Purple Maple City. The 11 cities under the command of Lineage of Star are attacked by Star Extermination Alliance. Lineage of Star's properties in the 11 cities were all destroyed. The news came in continuously. Jian Wushuang and everyone else's face grew grave. They act very swiftly, Hall Master Yuan said in a deep voice. Not only are their speeds swift, they are also very decisive. Star Extermination Alliance not only wanted to destroy Lineage of Star, they also wanted to root us out. They are not leaving us any leeway, Hall Master Ji Yuxin said. Jian Wushuang's face was cold. He knew clearly that if Star Extermination Alliance were to only intend to destroy Lineage of Star, they only had to gather all experts to the lair of Lineage of Star and kill all the higher-ups of Lineage of Star. The higher-ups died and Lineage of Star would naturally collapse. But then, Star Extermination Alliance had first conquered the space wormholes in Starland. After that, they had started massacring Starland on a large scale, taking one step at a time. They wanted to destroy all sects that were close to Lineage of Star. They didn't want to leave any leeway for Lineage of Star. They truly wanted to root them out, leaving no leeway at all. Once Star Extermination Alliance finally achieved their goal, Lineage of Star would definitely vanish into thin air without leaving anything behind. This method was really extreme. In such a situation, it'd be difficult even if Lineage of Star wanted to bury seeds that could grow in the future. Send down my command. Tell all experts of Lineage of Star to give up the resources and property on hand and return to Universe Galaxy. Tell them that the territory that we took control and the resources that we lose could be taken back in the future. First, their priority is to keep themselves alive. Tell them not to hesitate, Jian Wushuang commanded. Yes, Hall Master Yuan immediately sent down the command. Palace Master, do we watch as the entire Starland fall into the hands of Star Extermination Alliance? Do we not counterattack? Hall Master Nai Yun asked with a deep voice. There was an unwillingness in his eyes. Starland was named after Lineage of Star. Ever since the establishment of Lineage of Star, Starland had been under Lineage of Star's control over the years. Lineage of Star had been ruling for so long and they had an absolute ruling power. But then, Jian Wushuang's command was obviously telling them to give up Starland. After painstaking care over the years, no matter who it was, he would find himself loath to leave. Resources are forever in control of the hands of the strong. As long as one is powerful enough, the lost items can be taken back. It is just a matter of time, Jian Wushuang said. With Lineage of Star's current trump cards and techniques, we could totally be evenly matched with Star Extermination Alliance, Hall Master Nai Yuan said in refusal. Fight head-on? Maybe. But don't forget that we are not just dealing with Star Extermination Alliance. Jian Wushuang's eyebrows were tightly knitted. Although Star Extermination Alliance had gathered 5 major forces, Lineage of Star might really be able to be evenly matched if they were to give full play to their trump cards. Star Extermination Alliance wasn't made up of all enemies of Lineage of Star. They were merely the first that took action. After Star Extermination Alliance, there were many forces and experts who were waiting for Lineage of Star to be destroyed. In turn, they could take a share. In such a situation, Lineage of Star should give up what should be given up, without hesitation. Just do what I say, Jian Wushuang said. Yes, although Hall Master Nai Yun was upset, he also knew not to comment much. Just then, Master, I am back. A message was suddenly sent. You're back. Jian Wushuang beamed with joy. He Xiao, who had already broken through and became real god not long ago, came before Jian Wushuang. Master, I brought these back. He Xiao passed Jian Wushuang a Chen Kuan ring. Jian Wushuang took it and swept it with his consciousness. He then revealed a smile. In the Chen Kuan ring, there were Dao soldiers, a total of 20 of them. The 20 Dao soldiers were what Jian Wushuang had told He Xiao to make a trip to Green Fire World at the last minute to bring back from Green Fire World. Back in the ancient battlefield, Jian Wushuang had received a total of 132 Dao soldiers. Then, during the 6,000 years when Jian Wushuang had wandered in the ancient battlefield, he had damaged some. However, there were still more than 120 Dao soldiers. But then, Jian Wushuang had only brought back 100 Dao soldiers and left over 20 Dao soldiers in Green Fire World. But then, Lineage of Star was in danger. Jian Wushuang naturally wanted to figure out ways to increase Lineage of Star's fighting power. Hence, he told He Xiao to bring the 20 Dao soldiers over. Then, there were only 2 Dao soldiers left in Green Fire World. In addition to these 20 Dao soldiers, there is a total of 120 bronze-armored Dao soldiers in Lineage of Star. When 2 to 3 bronze-armored Dao soldiers team up, they could be evenly matched with an ordinary Sir God. In other words, it would be equivalent to fighting power of over 40 Sir Gods. In addition to the guest elders of Lineage of Star and the 4 silver-armored Dao soldiers, Lineage of Star's fighting power of Sir God level wouldn't be weaker than Star Extermination Alliance. As for fighting power of Emperor God, Jian Wushuang was calculating his troops' fighting power. In terms of Emperor Gods, there was a total of 3 Emperor Gods who accepted Lineage of Star's invitation. They were Emperor God Ju Yin, Emperor God Shen Wu and Emperor God Ji Yu Shui. Among the 3 Emperor Gods, Emperor God Ju Yin was extremely close to peak Emperor God, while Emperor God Shen Wu and Emperor God Ji Yu Shui were slightly weaker. They could only be compared to an ordinary emperor god. Besides, in Lineage of Star, there were 3 peak emperor gods. That were Jian Wushuang himself, Qian Mingzi, who Purple Moon Emperor had sent, and also Jian Yi. In terms of fighting power of the emperor god level, it was extremely strong too. Plus, there was the trump card of Universe Galaxy. Lineage of Star's overall power was strong. In terms of fighting power, Lineage of Star has reached the extreme limit. Now, it depends on our skills. Jian Wushuang was soaring with anger. Chapter 1895. Soldiers at the city wall on Starland. The bloodbath continued. Star Extermination Alliance behaved wantonly. Wherever they went was left barren. Whoever was related to Lineage of Star by a slight bit, unless they turned and fought Lineage of Star, they would be destroyed. The terrifying bloodbath and massacre terrified countless people. Such a bloodbath lasted for 3 months. In 3 months, Starland was flipped upside down. All Lineage of Star's foundation in Starland was destroyed. Nothing was left behind. Starland was occupied. In a lofty palace, the heads of the 5 forces gathered. Lineage of Star could not tolerate this. Number 1 Divine King from Divine King Island muttered. So what if they can't tolerate it? Would they initiate a life-and-death battle with us like they did with Abysmal Palace back then? Emperor God Xianxia sneered. Back then, Abysmal Palace was reckless. We never expected Lineage of Star to have so many Dao soldiers. Plus, Jian Wushuang's power is extraordinary. Hence, we suffered a heavy defeat. But this time, Star Extermination Alliance gathers 5 top forces. Lineage of Star definitely won't have the capital to match evenly. They are basically courting death if they charge out blindly, Palace Master Wu Luo from Abysmal Palace said coldly. Even so, I never expected things to be so smooth. In just 3 months, we conquered Starland. Next, we only have one last target. Number 1 Divine King from Divine King Island's gaze was cold. They had already conquered Starland entirely. It was said that Lineage of Star's retreat route was taken. Next, they naturally were going to the lair of Lineage of Star to kill all experts and disciples of Lineage of Star. This is our last step, and also an extremely important step. We definitely can't be reckless. I suggest that our 5 forces immediately reorganize and consolidate our fighting powers. Then, we can charge to Lineage of Star altogether, the Master of Real Martial Arts Divine Church said. Sure. I agree. If so, let's depart now. On that day, also the day after Star Extermination Alliance had wiped out Starland entirely, the experts from all 5 forces departed simultaneously. The forces and experts in Sanctuary Alliance were watching the war closely. After a few days, the experts from Star Extermination Alliance arrived outside Universe Galaxy. The vast Milky Way continued to float in silence in the void. In front of the Milky Way, there were 5 spaceships floating. In front of the spaceships, there were many figures towering. The figures gave out extremely strong aura. They were all Almighties. With naked eyes, one could see that there were almost 70 Almighties gathered in front of the spaceships. Almighties, any one of them was the existence of an overlord. 70 Almighties was such a terrifying number. Also, it was only when the top 5 forces in Eternal Chaotic World teamed up that there would be such a powerful team formation. Besides, among the 70 Almighties, there were 10 Ori that obviously had already reached an even higher level. Emperor Gods. 10 Emperor Gods. Averagely, every force sent out 2 Emperor Gods. That was really shocking. In the nearby Milky Way, there were many experts from different forces that had gathered and there weren't very few. To sum up, the formation was definitely not below Star Extermination Alliance but stronger. The experts shared the same idea about secret skill of Star Palace from Lineage of Star. When the war started and Lineage of Star was destroyed, they would get a share of it. However, the experts had never revealed themselves as of then. In Universe Galaxy, there were many experts from Lineage of Star that had gathered there and Jian Wushuang was naturally the leader. As for Jian Yi and Qian Mingzi, they never revealed themselves. The 2 fighting powers of Peak Emperor God, Jian Wushuang wouldn't use them unless it reached a crucial moment, especially Jian Yi. Jian Yi's fighting power could easily challenge Underworld God. If he were to use him at crucial times, it would definitely turn around the situation entirely. Chen Mingzi wasn't weak as well. Most importantly, the outside world didn't know about the two fighting power. Even in Lineage of Star, besides Jian Wushuang, only the other three hall masters knew. The guest elders that had accepted their invitation didn't know about the two of them as well. Besides, the same applied to the Dao soldiers. Jian Wushuang only took out 34 Dao soldiers. 30 bronze-armored Dao soldiers, 4 silver-armored Dao soldiers, and guest elders that were invited. Those were the power that Lineage of Star put on display. With such strength, there was a great distance if compared to Star Extermination Alliance. Seriously. Abysmal Palace, Soaring Heaven King Palace, Divine King Island, Real Martial Arts Divine Church, Highest Heaven Emperor Mansion. The 5 forces are going all out in this war. Almost 70 armies, and there are 10 Emperor gods among them. Such a team formation. Too strong. The team formation is too strong. How are we going to withstand it? The guest elders in Lineage of Star began to worry. It was inevitable. Their opponent's team formation was too strong. There was a total of 10 Emperor gods. Peak Emperor gods, they had 4 of them. The 4 were Palace Master Wu Luo from Abysmal Palace, number 1 Divine King from Divine King Island, the Master of Real Martial Arts Divine Church, and also Emperor God Xianxia from Soaring Heaven King Palace. As for Highest Heaven Emperor Mansion, they didn't have any peak Emperor gods, but they had 3 Emperor gods, and 2 of the 3 had come. The 2 Emperor gods were extremely close to peak Emperor god level 2. When they teamed up, their fighting powers were almost strong enough to fight with a peak Emperor god. Jian Wushuang stood at the far front before all experts in Lineage of Star. He glanced at the 4 peak Emperor gods who were the most eye-catching among his opposition campsite. Among the 4, he had fought with Palace Master Wu Luo before. As for the other 3, number 1 Divine King from Divine King Island, Jian Wushuang looked at a brawny, middle-aged man in crimson armor. The brawny, middle-aged man looked like a beast. Number 1 Divine King from Divine King Island had gained fame earlier than the Master of Star Palace. He was on the 33rd place on Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. His skills were scary. The Master of Real Martial Arts Divine Church was an evil-looking elder. The evil-looking elder was malicious, but there was a dignified aura around him. He seemed to be upright but also evil at the same time. The Master of Real Martial Arts Divine Church was on the 28th place on Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. As for the last person, he is the strongest expert from Soaring Heaven King Palace, Emperor God Qianling. Jian Wushuang's eyes dilated in shock when he looked at the person. He was a white-robed young man with snow-white hair. There were no emotions in his cold, sharp glare. He didn't even move an inch when his eyes met Jian Wushuang's. It was as though Jian Wushuang was merely air in his eyes. Chapter 1896, Everyone Has to Die. Emperor God Qianling had been on the 21st place on Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. But due to the rise of Jian Wushuang, he was on the 22nd place. In terms of ranking, he was higher than Palace Master Wu Luo, number 1 Divine King and the Master of Real Martial Arts Divine Church. Hence, his power was naturally stronger. When Jian Wushuang had fought with Soaring Heaven King Palace, Emperor God Qianling had been wandering in the second lair without revealing himself. Until then, when Jian Wushuang finally saw Emperor God Qianling in person. Jian Wushuang was surprised when he saw him. He had a feeling that Emperor God Qianling's true power wasn't that simple. As for the ranking on Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list, it might not be accurate. After all, Emperor God Qianling had been wandering in the second lair and never fought with anyone. Who knew if he hadn't improved in recent years? In short, it was extremely stupid to gauge Emperor God Qianling's power according to the ranking list. Come, let's head out. Jian Wushuang commanded, and all experts in Lineage of Star, including the 30 bronze-armored Dao soldiers and 4 silver-armored Dao soldiers, moved all together. They walked out from Universe Galaxy and stopped before the experts of Star Extermination Alliance. Oh, the people from Lineage of Star dare to walk out? I thought they would be hiding in their lair and rely on their formation to drag things out longer. Lineage of Star follows the lead of Sword Emperor now. Sword Emperor is not one who is overcautious. Previously, when Abysmal Palace attacked Lineage of Star, he led the experts in Lineage of Star and initiated a fight. In the end, Abysmal Palace was heavily defeated. Humph, that's because Abysmal Palace was too careless and they belittled Lineage of Star. But now, 5 major forces have teamed up and our team formation is so strong. How could Lineage of Star match evenly? If they dare to fight head-on, let's crush them. The experts of Star Extermination Alliance, we're confident. The top 5 major forces teamed up and there was no one force in Eternal Chaotic World that could match it evenly. It was impossible that Lineage of Star had the ability to. Jian Wushuang. A loud voice sounded across the void. Palace Master Wu Lui from Abysmal Palace took a huge stride forward as his cold eyes looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, Lineage of Star is very capable. In merely a few thousand years, you managed to invite so many experts. Compared to Star Extermination Alliance, it's nothing. Jian Wushuang's face was cold. Star Extermination Alliance gathered 5 major forces. According to what I know, the 5 of you have some conflicts normally and you even held grudges against one another. But today, you teamed up to aim at Lineage of Star. Isn't that even more outstanding? Humph, we 5 forces did have conflicts. However, it's nothing compared to Lineage of Star. As long as we can exterminate Lineage of Star entirely, so what if we have to team up? Number 1 Divine King from Divine King Island said. The 5 major forces that formed Star Extermination Alliance had once suffered greatly from Lineage of Star. As their resentment would stop at nothing, with such great resentment, they advanced and consolidated every single step to root out Lineage of Star. Emperor God Ju Yin, Emperor God Shen Wu, Emperor God Jiu Shui, and every Sir Gods. Palace Master Wu Luo looked around. At such a crucial moment, you opt to side with Lineage of Star. That's very impressive. The guest elders who had accepted Lineage of Star's invitation, their eyes dilated in shock. Humph, you thought Lineage of Star had the capital to be fearless to all forces after inviting all these experts? That's a joke. Today onwards, Lineage of Star is going to be a history. These Sir Gods and Emperor Gods standing by Lineage of Star's side, none of you should think of running away. Everyone has to die. Palace God Wu Luo's voice was cold. Yes, as they opted to side with Lineage of Star, they are Star Extermination Alliance's enemies. All must die. Number 1 Divine King from Divine King Island said coldly. Those who dance with Lineage of Star should be dead. The Master of Real Martial Arts Divine Church roared. The guest elders from Lineage of Star's faces grew grave. They were there by invitation. Although they had said that they would try their best to help Lineage of Star surpass the danger. Once their lives were threatened, they would leave straight away. They had never thought of risking their lives for Lineage of Star. But now, it seemed too impossible to stop halfway. It's not just about the talk if you want to exterminate Lineage of Star. You have to rely on your fists too, Jian Wushuang sneered. You're right. If so, you shall see if our Star Extermination Alliance's fist is tough enough. Palace Master Wu Luo's face grew cold. Everyone, let's kill them. Number 1 Divine King from Diving King Island roared. Whoever sides with Lineage of Star must be killed. The experts from Soaring Heaven King Palace, Real Martial Arts Divine Church, Highest Heaven Emperor Mansion, instantly took action. There were almost 70 Almighties that swarmed in. There were towering Ori that filled in the air madly. There was a boundless divine power that formed storms that pressed at Lineage of Star. Every expert in Lineage of Star grew solemn and they felt pressured. Everyone, did you hear me clearly about the things that I told you earlier? Jian Wushuang looked at everyone behind him. The guest elders nodded simultaneously. If so, follow my instructions and charge. Just as Jian Wushuang spoke, his figure was the first that plunged out. Behind him, Emperor God Ju Yin, Emperor God Shen Wu, Emperor God Jiu Shui, Hall Master Jiu Xin, Hall Master Nai Yun and everyone else, including guest elders of Sir God level and the other Dao soldiers, charged. The 2 campsites fought against one another in the vast void outside Universe Galaxy. The war instantly exploded. Jian Wushuang was raging with anger. He was the Palace Master of Lineage of Star then, and he naturally would be at the front. Swoosh! 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 There were 4 resplendent golden lights that soared up from the sky. The experts from both parties had yet to collide, but the 4 golden lights burst out like lightning. Simultaneously, the bloodline power in Jian Wushuang's body churned and he immediately became black jade. There were heads and arms extending out, a total of 7 heads and 14 arms. Every single one of the 14 arms was holding a sword. The terrifying aura, along with soaring sword intention, swept out. Heaven and earth changed its colors as the highest heaven shook. Then, Jian Wushuang pushed his power up to his peak. Chapter 1897. Fierce Battle. Jian Wushuang, your opponent is us. There was a sudden roar and there were 3 figures that blocked Jian Wushuang simultaneously. The 3 of them were Palace Master Wu Luo, who was in a green robe and holding a hammer, number 1 Diving King, who was a brawny middle-aged man in crimson armor and holding a crimson saber, and Master of Real Martial Art Divine Church, who was malicious-looking. The 3 Peak Emperor gods blocked Jian Wushuang. The last time I fought with you, I did suffer a minor loss. This time, I'm going to take it back. Palace Master Wu Luo looked with a cold glare. I heard of Sword Emperor's name long ago. It's my honor to finally see the number 1 genius of eternal chaotic world today, number 1 Divine King said in a deep voice. You're only a real god, but you made the 3 of us who are Peak Emperor gods team up. Sword Emperor, even if you die, you will die with pride. The Master of Real Martial Art Divine Church smiled maliciously. Humph. So what if there are 3 Peak Emperor gods? If you want to fight, come on. Let's do it. Jian Wushuang sounded furious. Under the churning bloodline aura, he was like death. His huge body took a leap and appeared before the 3 Peak Emperor gods. To fight against 3 people alone and 3 Peak Emperor gods, Jian Wushuang showed no fear. Swoosh! 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 There were 4 resplendent golden lights that flashed and appeared in front of Palace Master Wu Luo directly. This again? Palace Master Wu Luo's face grew in distress. In the previous battle, he had been in a miserable situation because of the 4 Hong Jun golden sword. Then, as they were fighting, Jian Wushuang continued to aim the 4 Hong Jun golden swords at him. Go away! Palace Master Wu Luo roared and he swung the hammer in his hand. Just as Palace Master Wu Luo moved, number 1 Divine King and the Master of Real Martial Art Divine Church by his sides immediately attacked. Humph! Number 1 Divine King humphed and his body suddenly increased in size by 100 times. A pair of cold eyes stared like 2 suns as boundless crimson fog swept out from his body. He held his saber with one hand and the crimson saber was infinitely magnifying in his hand as well. Suddenly, there was a towering crimson saber shadow. The layer of saber shadows overlapped as though it was going to slash the universe into half. Quang! The saber light descended. Jian Wushuang could only feel the saber intention that was pressing on him from all directions. The power of the saber intention was rare. Ha ha, come on. Jian Wushuang laughed hysterically. Among his 14 arms, there were 6 that wielded a sword at that very moment. Vroom. Sword intention swept out along with boundless divine power. Reincarnation sword principle, the 6th move. 6 arms wielded the swords at the same time. There was a total of 6 sword lights. Every sword light was reincarnation sword principle that Jian Wushuang performed with his all. One should know that reincarnation sword principle that Jian Wushuang had invented was only 6 moves. The power of the 6th move was extremely powerful and it took quite a lot of divine power to perform it. But in the fierce battle at such a level, Jian Wushuang, who was an inverse cultivator, his magnificent divine power was on display. Reincarnation sword principle, the 6th move, his 6 arms performed it all together and performed a total of 6 moves at the first instant. Bang! There was a loud bang and there was a towering saber shadow that pressed over and immediately collapsed. However, the power of the collision had yet to disperse and Jian Wushuang suddenly felt a bolt of destroying power spreading from above. He looked into the void above him and there was a malicious-looking elderly standing there with a cold gaze while he pressed his hand down. Rumble. A huge palm print brought about boundless power. Suddenly, it was as though the entire universe had pressed down at Jian Wushuang. Break! There was a burst of sharp light in Jian Wushuang's eyes. Instantly, the sky above suddenly cracked and there was a huge crack. In the crack, there was sacred thunder gathering and there were bolts of life-destroying power that swept out. Then, Hualala. Life-destroying sacred thunder filled the air. There was a total of more than 1,000 life-destroying sacred thunder. At that moment, they merged together and hit the huge palm print. Along with a ferocious bang, all living things in the universe went quiet. Jian Wushuang, who was right in the middle of the band, #1 divine king and master of real martial art divine church, weren't affected at all. There was a boundless collision of power, but the three of them fought together like lightning. Jian Wushuang's 14 arms wielded a sword each, and there was soaring sword intention. He put his improvement in comprehension towards sword principle at Emperor Sword Palace be in full play. Relying on his powerful strength, he fought in close combat with #1 divine king and the master of real martial art divine church. On the other side, he was still controlling the 4 Hongjun golden swords as they suppressed Palace Master Wu Luo so that he didn't have the bandwidth to get involved with the other fights. The experts from both campsites started fighting too. Once they fought, they were in a ferocious fight. Fierce fight. It was a fierce fight that was worthy for the entire eternal chaotic world to watch. Including the Dao soldiers, there were more than 100 of them who possessed fighting power of an almighty that partook in the war. Just then, in the nearby void around the fierce fights, there were a large number of experts watching the war closely. Fought. The two campsites finally fought. They are fighting such a ferocious fight. Nonsense. There are more than 100 almighties that fought at the same time. How could it not be ferocious? Such a great war, it's hard to come by in the second era. I remember the last ferocious war happened many years ago. Then, there were forces and experts besieging the Master of Star Palace. In the end, the Master of Star Palace massacred them all alone. It's a pity that although the power that Lineage of Star possesses is strong, they didn't have terrifying techniques like the Master of Star Palace after all. It would be unrealistic if they wanted to match evenly with Star Extermination Alliance. The experts who were watching the war sighed emotionally. They could see the situation before them. Among the two campsites, Star Extermination Alliance obviously had the upper hand. There was a huge difference in the team formation of both parties. In terms of Sir Gods, although Lineage of Star had 30 Dao soldiers, at least 2 Dao soldiers would be required to just about match evenly with an ordinary Sir God. Accumulatively, Lineage of Star had over 30 fighting powers of Sir God, which was only half of Star Extermination Alliance's amount. In terms of the fighting power of Emperor Gods, they were far apart too. The 10 Emperor Gods from Star Extermination Alliance, forget about the 4 Peak Emperor Gods, there were another 6 of them while Lineage of Star only had 3 Emperor Gods besides Jian Wushuang. Such a vast difference in power led to the one-sided situation since the beginning of the war. Lineage of Star was suppressed entirely and there was almost no space for struggle. Although the battle had just started and Lineage of Star didn't suffer too much damage, in no time, there would be experts from Lineage of Star that passed away one after another. Utter defeat was only a matter of time. Chapter 1898. Retreat. Lineage of Star shouldn't have walked out of their own lair. If they were to stay in their lair, they might have been able to match evenly with Star Extermination Alliance via their formation. But now, Lineage of Star's action isn't very wise. From the looks of it, Lineage of Star is going to be defeated. It is definite that they are going to be defeated. However, Sword Emperor from Lineage of Star is really impressive. Sword Emperor. Everyone who was watching the war focused their attention on the battlefield where Jian Wushuang and the other 3 Peak Emperor Gods were. When they saw Jian Wushuang and the other 3 Peak Emperor Gods in a fierce fight, it stirred up a great commotion in the expert's heart. With his power alone, he fought evenly with 3 Peak Emperor Gods. It seems that he doesn't have the lower hand much. Sword Emperor is very impressive. Palace Master Wu Luo, #1 Divine King from Divine King Island and also the Master of Real Martial Art Divine Church. Their names are famous and they have many techniques and skills. However, even when the 3 of them team up, they can't take down Jian Wushuang. Just how does Jian Wushuang cultivate? Isn't his improvement speed too fast? Everyone was surprised. They could see clearly that Jian Wushuang was fighting against 3 alone and he didn't have the lower hand. Such battle outcome shocked everyone. One should know that, on Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list, only Underworld God who was widely known as the #1 Emperor God had once fought evenly with 3 Peak Emperor Gods alone. However, Not only had Underworld God matched evenly with the 3 Emperor Gods, but he had also defeated them directly and even killed 2 out of 3 of them. Jian Wushuang might not be comparable with Underworld God. However, he was about there. On the battlefield, the 3 Peak Emperor Gods from the enemy's side had teamed up but couldn't do anything to Jian Wushuang. The 3 Peak Emperor God were furious. Don't waste any more time on him. Launch a full attack and kill him. If we don't take him down now, the 3 of our Peak Emperor Gods' names will be ruined, Number 1 Divine King roared. All right, the Master of Real Martial Art Divine Church nodded heavily. As for Palace Master Wu Luo, he had the intention but not the will. He was fighting against Jian Wushuang's 4 Hongjun golden swords and he was already going all out. Number 1 Divine King roared and he turned into a saber himself. A life-destroying saber that wanted to shake off the shackles of heaven and earth. The saber contained life-destroying aura that was enough to shock one's mind. As for the Master of Real Martial Art Divine Church, he looked imposing and the aura that was soaring from his body was impressive. His eyes were like lightning. In one hand that he flipped open, there was boundless golden light flowing. Palm of Real Martial Arts. Hong! The sky broke and the earth split. A huge handprint, which was extremely imposing, descended from above from nowhere. Palm of Real Martial Arts was the strongest unique skill that the Master of Real Martial Arts Divine Church had created. There were 2 terrifying attacks that flew at Jian Wushuang at the same time. Ha ha, come on. Jian Wushuang's eyes were bloodshot but there was no fear. The billowing divine power and bloodline power were flowing out in madness. Before everyone's gazes, one of his hands slowly extended. On one of his fingers, there was an intense black jade light. The black jade light seemed to light up the entire universe. Ancient God, the 8th finger. The universe finger. Hong! An ancient black jade finger suddenly attacked. Ancient God finger was the strongest move in terms of power in Ancient God unique skill. 9 fingers of Ancient God, each stronger than the last. Especially the last 3 fingers. Merely the 3rd finger, Vault of Heaven's finger, was already comparable with many unique skills that Emperor Gods had created. As for the 8th finger, 1 finger daunted the universe. The power was infinite. With 1 finger, the universe shook, heaven and earth broke apart. In an instant, it collided with the full hits launched by the 2 Peak Emperor Gods. The terrifying power swept out. At that moment, all living things in the universe lost their colors. The bang that wasn't as loud as any of them had imagined. However, when they collided, there was instantly a merciless black hole that took form. The space black hole magnified infinitely to swallow up everything in the universe. The fierce divine power swept across wantonly. At the border of the battlefield, there were 4 Sir Gods who were fighting ferociously and 2 Dao soldiers that were swept out. The 4 Sir Gods got injured while the 2 Dao soldiers flew out. Swoosh! A figure flew across the sky like a shooting star. It flew about 10,000 miles until it finally stopped in the void. The figure belonged to Jian Wushuang. Although his face grew pale, his aura was still rather strong. Swoosh! 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 4 Hongjun golden swords had already returned to his side. In the void far ahead of him, the 3 Peak Emperor Gods stood side by side and their faces looked cold. The 3 of them had already gone all out and they had even performed their strongest unique skill, but they merely had the upper hand by a slight bit. They weren't even enough to injure Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's strength surprised the 3 Peak Emperor Gods. If we were to fight with him one-on-one, any one of us could only flee in a fix when we met him, Number 1 Divine King couldn't help but say. Forget about fighting him alone, even if we were to team up in pairs, we wouldn't win against him, Palace Master Wu Luo said. If they only paired up, Jian Wushuang's 4 Hongjun golden swords would be freed and then he could totally fight the 2 of them at the same time and he would definitely have the upper hand. However, the 3 of them made up a team of 3 Peak Emperor Gods after all. Palace Master, we can't do this anymore. There was a sudden roar and Jian Wushuang's face changed as he looked around anxiously. Both campsites were fighting furiously. Although it was merely a short while, Star Extermination Alliance's advantage was magnified. Lineage of Star already looked like they were going to be defeated. Retreat. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang immediately commanded them to retreat while he tried his best to open up a route for escape in order to help the experts and Dao soldiers from Lineage of Star to flee retreat. Retreat! Everyone from Lineage of Star immediately started to retreat. Everyone was decisive to retreat. They didn't delay any further. The experts from Star Extermination Alliance saw and let out a chilly gleam in their eyes. Ha ha, you want to retreat now? It's too late. Everyone, head into the lair of Lineage of Star and kill everyone in Lineage of Star. Kill everyone. Don't leave anyone behind. The experts from Star Extermination Alliance started chasing after them under the lead of the three peak Emperor gods. Jian Wushuang led the experts from Lineage of Star to retreat into Universe Galaxy. Star Extermination Alliance naturally chased after them. Hall Master Yuan, it's your call now. Jian Wushuang sent a message to Hall Master Yuan. Don't worry, let me take care of this. Hall Master Yuan's voice was solemn, but he was confident. Chapter 1899. Show the White Feather Universe Galaxy was a treasure that Master of Star Palace had obtained from Seven Star Realm. Although Universe Galaxy was severely injured, it was an ancient treasure after all. Hall Master, who was weapon spirit of Universe Galaxy, immediately started to revolve Universe Galaxy when he received Jian Wushuang's message. Although the humongous Universe Galaxy gave people a mysterious feeling, it never once revealed its true power. But then, as Hall Master revolved it, Universe Galaxy immediately transformed into a huge formation. The formation was mysterious and instantly cut off the chase of the experts from Star Extermination Alliance. They were blocked outside of the galaxy. Swoosh! 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 Jian Wushuang and the others appeared in the depths of Universe Galaxy, next to Hall Master Yuan. Jian Wushuang's soul power spread out and he could see the scene outside of the galaxy. He could see that the experts from Star Extermination Alliance outside Universe Galaxy had already started to attack the formation of Universe Galaxy. Hong! 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 There were deep, loud bangs that resounded continuously. As the entire Universe Galaxy was under attack, it started shaking faintly. Hall Master Yuan, can you withstand the attack? Jian Wushuang looked at Hall Master Yuan. Palace Master, don't worry. Attacking at such a level is merely scratching my itch, Hall Master Yuan joked confidently. Jian Wushuang creased his eyebrows and said, the experts from Star Extermination Alliance are merely attacking in scatter. Universe Galaxy could withstand them easily. But if they were to concentrate their attacks together, such as all Almighties attacking one spot, then, Palace Master, just sit and watch me. Hall Master Yuan was very confident. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He naturally had never doubted Hall Master Yuan. At the border of Universe Galaxy, the experts from Star Extermination Alliance had originally wanted to barge into the depths of the galaxy and go right into the lair of Lineage of Star. However, just as they stepped foot into Universe Galaxy, they were blocked by the huge formation that was revolving. This formation is so powerful. I attacked personally, but I didn't even shake it. Palace Master Wu Luo creased his eyebrows slightly. Lineage of Star existed for so many years, and the old monster Old Star Palace even had the secret skill of Star Palace. Of course, he would have some solid foundation. The formation should be their last reliance, the Master of Real Martial Arts Divine Church said. Humph, you want to rely on the formation to block all of us outside? You must be dreaming. Number 1 Divine King from Divine King Island humphed coldly. Everyone, let's work together. Let's attack one spot all together. I'd like to see if the formation can withstand the hit of all Almighties together. Okay. The surrounding people nodded simultaneously. Very soon, almost 70 Almighties in Star Extermination Alliance launched an attack together. The Almighties launched attack one after another. In an instant, there were attacks that were performed from each and every one of them. Then, they hit on the same spot of the formation. Hong! An unprecedented bang reverberated in the entire galaxy. The huge Universe Galaxy was hit by the terrifying attack and it started shaking vigorously. In Universe Galaxy, the experts from Lineage of Star were watching the scene outside the galaxy anxiously, especially the guest elders. They didn't know what other trump cards Lineage of Star hid up their sleeves. Hence, all of them were anxious. From what they could see, the formation should be Lineage of Star's final reliance. Once the formation shattered, Lineage of Star would be facing a massacre by Star Extermination Alliance. The experts who accepted their invitation not only wouldn't receive the secret skill of Star Palace, their lives might even be threatened. But Universe Galaxy was really strong. Hall Master Yuan's confidence didn't come from nowhere. The experts from Star Extermination Alliance worked together and attacked the same spot. Universe Galaxy received an unprecedentedly heavy hit. However, after quivering for a while, Universe Galaxy once again steadied itself. There was no damage or any sign of it collapsing. The experts from Star Extermination saw the scene and they were in disbelief. How is this possible? All of us attacked the same spot together and we didn't manage to break the formation. The formation is so strong. Palace Master Wu Luo, #1 Divine King, the master of real martial art divine churches, faces grew grave. In the galaxy. Blocked it. That's great. The guest elders from Lineage of Star were filled with excitement. Humph, like I said, unless a great emperor comes personally, no one can break the formation. Hall Master Yuan smiled coldly. He was the weapons spirit of Universe Galaxy and he naturally knew about Universe Galaxy the most. He knew clearly that although there were almost 70 Almighties that worked together to attack one spot together, the attacks of the Almighties were inconsistent with different strengths, as well as different characters. Hence, the power of the attack couldn't superpose flawlessly. In other words, the attack was messy and it couldn't concentrate. If the people of Star Extermination Alliance were to know a power superposition skill and combine all 70 Almighties' power together flawlessly, they might be able to pose a threat to Universe Galaxy. But as of now, Hall Master Yuan smirked. Jian Wushuang relaxed when he saw the scene in front of him. He turned around to look at everyone else and calculate the damage from the earlier fight. Lineage of Star had definitely had the lower hand in the fight earlier. Although the fight lasted for a very short time, there was one Sir God that had passed away. At the same time, there were a few Dao soldiers that were damaged. Besides, most of the people were injured. In short, it was a wretched sight. However, the outcome of the battle was exactly how Jian Wushuang wanted. Showed the white feather. He was showing the white feather. He wanted Star Extermination Alliance to think that Lineage of Star's fighting power was unworthy and only the formation was blocking them off. He wanted Star Extermination Alliance to take Lineage of Star lightly. Then, when Lineage of Star counter-attacked in full force, they could hit their vitals and hurt them badly. Hall Master Yuan only put the defense power of the formation on display. You only need to block the experts from Star Extermination Alliance outside the galaxy. Don't perform any attack techniques that Universe Galaxy has for now, Jian Wushuang commanded. I understood. Hall Master Yuan nodded. When Star Extermination Alliance reached Starland, they decided on the strategy. Then, everything was within the control of Lineage of Star. Now, Lineage of Star has to suffer for a while. However, the grievance can be wiped out very soon. Let the people from Star Extermination Alliance be smug with their success for a little longer. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Send a command down. From today onwards, no matter how Star Extermination Alliance taunts us, the experts from Lineage of Star won't take the challenge. Chapter 1900. Indestructible Galaxy Formation outside Universe Galaxy. The experts from Star Extermination Alliance were still trying to figure out a way to break the formation. No matter what tricks they pulled, even when the experts teamed up together, they couldn't move the formation even an inch. The formation was like an indestructible lofty mountain that blocked Star Extermination Alliance. In the vast void, the commanders of the 5 major forces gathered together again. Although the galaxy is strange, I never thought it could transform into such a powerful formation. We belittled Lineage of Star. I never knew Lineage of Star had such a trump card. The formation is so strong, we couldn't break it at all. What should we do? The few commanders looked distressed. They didn't know the galaxy in Lineage of Star contained such a powerful formation. With the hindrance of the formation, as long as the experts from Lineage of Star didn't come out recklessly, no matter how many experts from Star Extermination Alliance there were, they couldn't do anything about them. Emperor God Qianling, Palace Master Wu Lu suddenly turned to a young man with snow-white hair who never spoke. In the fight earlier, Why didn't you attack? Palace Master questioned him. Number 1 Divine King, the master of real martial art Divine Church, and I already teamed up to suppress Jian Wushuang. If you join us and attack him with your all, the accumulation of our power could definitely kill Jian Wushuang. The moment we kill him, Lineage of Star will lose their final mainstay and they will definitely collapse. Number 1 Divine King, the master of real martial art Divine Church and the master of highest heaven Emperor Mansion looked at Emperor God Qianling in dissatisfaction. When the experts from both campsites fought, the experts from Star Extermination Alliance attacked and most of them fought with their all but Emperor God Qianling. From the beginning until the end, Emperor God Qianling had been staying in the nearby void without moving an inch. Before the war ended and Lineage of Star returned to the galaxy, Emperor God Qianling had never fought. One should know that it was a great opportunity. If Emperor God Qianling were to seize the chance, they definitely could make Jian Wushuang die on the spot. Emperor God Qianling looked cold when he was being questioned by the others. 3 peak Emperor Gods teamed up and couldn't take down Jian Wushuang, who was only at real god level and had only been cultivating for less than 10,000 years. How dare you question me? Palace Master Wu Luo and the other 2 peak Emperor Gods were stunned. Emperor God Qianling, what do you mean? Palace Master Wu Luo said angrily. There's no issue. I only wanted to tell you that I disdain to besiege a real god with 3 other peak Emperor Gods. If I really want to attack, I will fight a fair battle with Jian Wushuang and kill him directly, Emperor God Qianling said. Kill him directly? Palace Master Wu Luo lifted the corners of his lips as disdain filled his eyes. When the next opportunity comes, the 3 of us will stand by side and watch. We shall see how Emperor God Qianling kills Jian Wushuang alone. Number 1 Divine King and the master of real martial art Divine Church sneered. They had tested Jian Wushuang's power personally. The 3 of them had teamed up and gone all out, but they could barely suppress him. If they were to fight one-on-one, which of them would be Jian Wushuang's match? Although Emperor God Qianling's ranking on Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list was higher than the 3 of theirs, there should be a vast difference between his power and Jian Wushuang's too. All right, everyone. It's not the time for arguments. Let us first think about how to resolve the formation in the galaxy. The master of highest heaven Emperor Mansion tried to mediate the situation. Humph. Palace Master Wu Luo humphed coldly and said, the power of the formation is unusual. I'm afraid only a great emperor could break the formation. Although there are many Almighties in Star Extermination Alliance, the Almighties couldn't concentrate all their power as one. In other words, it is difficult to do a hit similar to a great emperor's. However, if there were to be a power superposition skill that was able to concentrate all our Almighty's power into one, we might stand a chance to break the formation. Power superposition skill? The few experts at the scene exchanged a look. In Eternal Chaotic World, there weren't many of those power superposition skills. A power superposition skill that could concentrate almost 70 Almighty's powers as one would be even rarer. At least, among the 5 forces, no one had that kind of power superposition skill. We can only make use of our sex influence and find a power superposition skill. Before we find one, we could take some measures. The master of real martial art Divine Church looked around. Although the galaxy formation is strong, there is definitely a flaw or weak point. Among the experts in 5 forces, there are many who are good at formations. Let them study and figure out a way to resolve it. Once they find a flaw, we can also break the formation even without power superposition skill. Besides, before the formation breaks, we can't let Lineage of Star be at peace. It's obvious that they are trying to be a turtle hiding in their shells. If so, let's send our men to taunt and ridicule them outside the galaxy. Let's force them out of the galaxy. Hearing what the master of real martial art had said, Palace Master Wu Luo and the others nodded in agreement. At this point, that's all we can do, Palace Master Wu Luo sighed. The formation gives Lineage of Star time to recover. Number 1 Divine King felt regretful first. Star Extermination Alliance could have just barged into the lair of Lineage of Star directly and rooted out Lineage of Star. Then, their progress was stopped temporarily. Humph. Let Lineage of Star lie for a while. In no time, when the formation collapses, the people from Lineage of Star can't escape, the master of real martial art Divine Church said coldly. The higher-ups of the 5 forces reached a mutual agreement. They sent their orders down. From then on, although the experts from Star Extermination had given up breaking the galaxy formation, They continued to come before the galaxy every day to hurl abuse, humiliate and taunt the people inside. They had no scruples, and they were not worried at all. The context of the humiliation was extremely sharp in one's ear. In short, they were offensive. On the other hand, there were experts from star extermination who were good at formations, constantly walking around the border of the galaxy to inspect the galaxy formation so that they could find a flaw in the galaxy formation or maybe figure out a way to break the formation. Not only that, Star Extermination Alliance had also paid a great price to invite a few almighties that were truly good at formations in Sanctuary Alliance so that they could help to inspect the galaxy formation.